Hello everyone, I am Kurt with Airow Gun. I want to talk to you about our Airow Gun attachments. Today we'll be showing you how to install the 68 caliber paintball version of the Airow Gun to your traditional compound archery bow. Okay, before we get started on attaching the 68 caliber paintball version of the Airow Gun to your bow, I want to go over some items that are included in the box. Of course, you have the Airow Gun attachment. Here's your mounting bracket. Here is the feed tube assembly, your arrow nock, arrow shaft, mounting screws, extra retention screws, and some other maintenance items that are included. It's very important to read through your directions before you ever get started and understand them thoroughly before you start this process. Also too, you'll need to prepare your bow for installing the Airow Gun. If you have your bow set up with a sight or an arrow rest, you'll need to make sure to remove those from the bow to get started. Now that the archery accessories have been removed from your bow, you can see the location where the mounting bracket of the Airow Gun will attach. This is called your burger hole. Some bows, like you see here, will have a single burger hole, but I'm going to show you this one here, which is the Martin Cheetah, has 2 burger holes. Regardless if it's 1 or 2, you'll be able to get the mounting bracket attached to your bow. Another point of interest to note when it comes to your archery bows, the arrow shaft width. It is ideal to have anywhere from the inside of the riser to the outer edge of the shelf, anywhere from 1.5 to 1 3/4 inches. This provides plenty enough room for the air chamber of the Airow Gun. The mounting bracket itself will install to your burger hole, and make sure to use the shorter screws. You can see 2 different lengths here. The longer screws are designed so if you have extra accessories that you want to attach, you'll have a longer screw for that. Get your screw started and then tighten it all the way down. Now that the mounting bracket has been installed onto the riser of the bow, the next thing we're going to be doing is mounting the Airow Gun to the mounting bracket. You'll note here many positioning holes. There's a reason for these. Every bow riser and the distance between the string and the riser is slightly different. You need to have this adjustment space to make sure that you are adjusting the bow no less than 2 inches or no more than 3 inches from the string. You need this space for deflection of the string as it goes forward. So you may have to move your screws to different points based on your bow to be able to make sure that you have this 2 to 3 inch space in here. Our next step of installation will be prepping our arrow shaft. You'll need, of course, the arrow shaft. You'll need our nock for attaching to the string. You'll need the small Allen wrench. You'll need some form of a hacksaw or cut-off saw, a pencil, and some good quality glue to glue the arrow nock itself to the arrow shaft. We will first loosen up the back retaining ring screw that you see here. Once it is loose, this back retaining ring will come out from the air chamber. Remove that, set it to the side, take your arrow shaft, install it into your lower air chamber, and slide it all the way forward to where the white mark that you see on the arrow shaft lines up with the back of the air chamber. Once you have gotten to that location, you could take your pencil, mark your arrow shaft right where the string is. This is the location where we'll be cutting the arrow shaft off to then glue in the nock. After your nock glue is completely dried, one extra step that you can do, and what we do at Airow Gun, is we install an extra set screw in here. We don't want this glue to ever break down and to have these 2 parts that you see here come apart from one another. At this point, we are now ready to attach the nock to our bow string. You'll need the small Allen wrench. You'll need to remove the back plate of your nock. 2 small screws, loosen those up, and remove your plate. Next thing we'll need to do is put a little protective sleeve around the string. The nock will attach there, so you'll want to make sure to protect this string. Included with your Airow Guns, as you can see here, and this is a cut piece that we've shortened up what's included with there, but just a small piece of that around the string to protect the string. Now that we've put that around the string, we're ready to do the final installation of the nock to the string. Make sure to tighten these up. You don't have to over tighten them. They're small screws, so you don't want to strip out the heads, but do make sure that they are firm and tight. Now that you have your arrow shaft itself attached to the string and inside your air chamber, we need to make sure that this position point of the Airow Gun to the string is at a 90-degree angle. One thing you could use would be a sheet of paper or a framing square, something like that, to basically make sure that you have a 90-degree angle here. Once that is done, then we're going to fully tighten up the mounting bracket screws. The Airow gun is in a 90-degree angle to the string. We want to make sure to retighten everything up here. So make sure that your main mounting bracket screw is firmly tight, and then you want to install all of your set screws. Since we're dealing with a single burger hole here, I cannot rely on this one screw to keep the Airow gun from pivoting on that screw. So you always want to make sure to install all of your small set screws. The set screws bite into the riser of the bow and they keep it from pivoting. So make sure to tighten them all the way up and use all 6 if you can. We're down to our final step now. We have the Airow gun firmly mounted to our bow. We have the arrow shaft and the nock attached to the string. However, we want to make sure to center our arrow shaft in our air chamber. As you can see here, this one's pretty close but not completely centered. It doesn't have to be directly in the center. If you're off to the left, the right, or up or down or a little bit, that's not going to affect anything. You just want to make sure the arrow shaft is not rubbing against the inner wall. If it does, it'll damage your arrow shaft. How we do this adjustment is done on the mounting bracket. As you can see here, we have 2 screws on the front and 2 on the top. This is an elevation adjustment. Loosen these up and the arrow gun will adjust up and down. Loosen these 2 up and it'll adjust from left to right. So to center that arrow shaft, we'll use these screws here to do so. Okay, we have our Airow gun fully installed onto our archery bow, but before we draw and release it, it's very important to do a mental checklist. Just double check and make sure that you tightened everything up. Look at your directions if you have to, but do that mental checklist to make sure everything is installed correctly. Now in the world of archery, you never want to dry fire a bow. However, the Airow gun serves as a dry fire device and also as a small game hunter or paintball shooter or whatnot. And the reason why is because you have the weight of the arrow shaft and you have that extra resistance of the plunger pushing the air through the system. So now that I have it fully installed on my bow, I can draw, release, use it for small game hunting, archery training, practice, playing paintball. Pretty much the sky's the limit. And the use of the Airow gun will make you a better archer in the long run. I want to thank you for watching our video on Airow gun installation, and please go check out our other videos on accessories, maintenance, and all the other items that we offer here at Airow Gun.